All right, and we're back. So the little teaser I gave you before we went to break, there was an injury over the I think it was 2 days ago, 3 days ago. The A's ace Chris Bassitt was pitching. I think it was the top of the second inning, or sorry, bottom of the second inning, and he took a line drive right off the face, 100-mile-an-hour line drive. He was hospitalized for obviously being hit in the head with a baseball, but they actually carted him off the field and took him immediately to the hospital. And luckily, it seems like he's avoided any major things. He has no concussion symptoms. His eyesight is still 20/20, so no vision or head injuries. Basically, just a laceration, and then he has a couple broken bones in his face. Um, they have to wait. I think they said 3 to 5 days for the swelling to go down because his eye is swollen shut on that side and even slightly swollen shut on the other side. So, but before the game today, which they won today, 5-4. But right before the game, he actually showed up at the team bus and said, "Hey guys, I'm doing good. Like, can't wait to get back out on the field with you.
That's awesome.
Just got to get my stuff taken care of first. So, like, don't worry about me. Just go out there and do your thing." So, pretty uplifting. And he won't admit it, but all of his teammates just adore him. He's kind of the leader of the clubhouse.
Yeah.
So it's tough to lose a guy like that, and obviously it's tough to lose him for any stretch with him being our number one pitcher, but also that leadership, just missing that for however many games he'll be out. A lot of people were saying that he won't be back this season, but I don't think those people know Chris Bassitt. So
I'm willing to bet, especially if you guys are able to string together a good run here in October.
yeah,
I
so
think he'll be pitching.
it's tough because when you go out there as a pitcher, you can't be thinking about that, that's even a
Yeah.
possibility, or you're not gonna be up to your game. So I'm gonna be interested to see how he does when he gets back out there because taking that off your face, it has to be in the back of your head.
Absolutely.
But if someone's gonna come overcome that, I think it's gonna be Chris Bassitt, just knowing his personality and all that. So obviously praying for his surgery and everything to go well, and hopefully, even if he's not back out there this season, like he's just one of those guys that you always root for. So, hoping everything goes well with that. And with that, let me have you talk about your Pirates, and then we'll get back to the A's in just a minute.
I mean, nothing super crazy. Bit of a rough stretch. We've definitely had some bad games, as expected. Um, Again, young guys are getting shots, and some of them are contributing. There's definitely some shiny spots. Obviously, the biggest one being Brian Reynolds. He's still just playing lights out. He, I would argue, he's arguably playing better center field than anybody else in the league right now, in my opinion. I just don't think he's a household name. He's not going to be somebody that everybody knows. So we'll see how it comes as far as, I mean, I'd love to see him get a gold glove, but we'll see what happens. Outside of that, though, really, it's just I didn't think we were even going to be in contention for the actually getting the number one pick. I thought it was too big of a gap. The other teams were playing a little rough. So I guess the biggest thing coming down to the stretch is we've made up ground,
Yeah.
if you want to call that a positive. But I believe we were, I think 2 games back on, or 2 games forward on the Diamondbacks, and I think 4 on the Orioles.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a real possibility that we could have a shot at Elijah Green next year. I mean, if things don't change, a lot of baseball to play before then. But It's just one of them things, stay optimistic. It's part of the build. Everybody knows that. We obviously jettisoned all those players, so a bit of a downfall was expected. But um, I would say the things I'm taking from it is, again, Brian Reynolds is playing great. Brian Hayes looks like he found his bat again, which is great because he had a bit of a slump going. Colin Moran's back and healthy and batting well. He's playing well also. It's good to have him back at first base. Uh, I guess that's about it. We're finally starting to designate a lot of our stopgap players we had, and we just keep popping, basically the young guys off of seeing what we got in our prospects.
Yep.
So, they are who we thought they were. They, this is exactly where they were going to be at this time of the year. So it's
Yep.
going as planned, I guess.
Yeah, everyone picked them preseason to be like one of the worst teams again. And obviously, I think they kind of outperformed that with a lot of the guys that they have sent shipped off. But now they're right where everyone thought they were going to be. So, and the crazy thing to me is we've you said there's a lot of baseball left, but there's only a month and a couple weeks. So
Well, as far as the Elijah Green staying the unanimous number one over the top,
yeah, I'm just
a lot could change. But you're right. We're coming down to the nitty gritty. I already know that I'm not going to be watching Buccos in October.
this is the time of year where I start to get depressed because the A's will inevitably let me down in the playoffs, and then baseball will be over until spring
Yeah.
again. So,
Luckily, you have your Raiders during that time, and they never let you down.
oh yeah, thanks for that.
Sorry.
Uh, A's, I don't even know if they're going to be in the playoffs. So, getting back to them, they were streaking. They had won 6 in a row, and then they matched up against the Rangers, which are last place in our division. And for some reason, the Rangers have been giving us fits this year, even after they shipped off Joey Gallo, and he was pretty much the one destroying us the entire time when we were
Yeah.
playing them before he was traded. So it seems like they haven't missed a beat, and I think they split with the Rangers and then shipped off to Chicago to face the White Sox, and they were in the first game. Second game's the one where Chris Bassitt got hit, and that one was basically over as soon as that happened. Um, Birch Smith came in relief, and everyone was just shell shocked. Like you could tell they didn't even really want to be there anymore. And Birch Smith gave up a single to make it 2 to nothing, and then the very next batter he gave up a 3-run home run, 5 to nothing, and then it just got worse from there. I think it ended up being 9-0. So not good. Lost the next game as well, and then finally, like I said, today they had Bassitt come welcome them before the game, or come cheer them up before the game, and they ended up winning 5-4. So at least we got one of those three, but seems like
That was probably big for them too. That's demoralizing to a whole team, seeing especially somebody that's obviously a leadership role. You see somebody go down. Plus, they're basically family at that point. A teammate get hurt like that.
yeah.
I'm sure it was huge for them to have him show up. That's awesome. It's the type of player he is, but still.
Well, and Paul Blackburn was brought up for the following game to basically take Bassitt's place in the rotation. Everyone else got bumped back a game, and Paul Blackburn has been up and down throughout his career. He'll usually come up for a couple spot starts, and got to tip my cap to him. He came up, and the White Sox are one of the better offenses in the league, and he held them to 2 earned runs, I think, and one unearned run. So he gave up 3 total, and they ended up losing 3-2. So definitely kept him in the game. The offense just let him down. So shout out to Paul Blackburn for coming in and getting it done. Um, but yeah, the A's hopefully get things turned around because Yankees and who's the other team? I'm trying to remember who they're in the race with. Yankees and Red Sox are both right there for the wild card, but the Yankees are on fire of late. ever
Dude,
since
they're
their
looking
trades.
scary right
Yeah,
now. What are they, like 25-8 or something like that?
I don't know. It's
It's
impressive.
it's a ridiculous number.
Yeah, ever since they brought on Chris Bryant and Joey Gallo, they've been just unstoppable. So I'm
Yeah,
hoping they're
they've been
peaking
playing
early
good baseball.
and the A's can sneak in, but we'll see. That's usually how it ends up. You just got to get hot at the right time to make a decent run. So,
Absolutely.
but
Uh, oh, go ahead.
no, that's all I was going to say about that. So,
I was just gonna say I do have one last thing on some Buccos news. Uh, I just think I mean, we'll see how long it lasts, but obviously with Otani having the success that he has, I kind of expected it. You'd maybe see teams being more open to such situations, and we've talked about this before. Obviously, that is it sustainable at some point? Obviously, you may have to make a decision, but to my point, Bubba Chandler, who we picked up in the draft this year, anyone who listened, I was super excited. I mean, he was a big name prospect for Clemson football, and ended up deciding to stick with us, which was really amazing. But they've came out in support of him already, saying that they're going to allow him to basically pursue pitching and playing shortstop. So he's going to play. Um, you know, he's not going to just be focusing as a pitcher. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what that means for his progress and his development. But um, he seems like he's an absolute just athletic talent. So I'm excited to see what happens. But to my point is just that I think Otani's going to open that door for a lot of players moving forward, where you're going to have some two-way players. So we'll see what happens.
it's always been weird to me that like that's always been the case in baseball because especially in like the high school levels, a lot of your best athletes are pitchers for your team and then they're also your best hitters. So it's
Right.
just weird to me that like they do one or the other. Um, Obviously, with the DH, that's killed some of the need for pitchers to hit, and in in most cases, pitchers aren't good at hitting. So I am definitely in favor of the DH. But like with Angels, they essentially have been using Otani to hit for himself, and that's what he does. So
Yeah.
obviously, it's
He
worked out for them
designate
this season.
he's a designated hitter for himself,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Yep. So um, I think the only other thing I really wanted to bring up, we were speaking about the Yankees. On the other side of New York, we had the Mets, and they are in the midst of their annual epic collapse.
Yeah,
Um, Usually it's a little bit later in the year, but this year it's definitely hit them hard, and it doesn't look like they're gonna turn it around because the other teams in that division are starting to play a lot better. So um, the owner of the Mets, Steve Cohen, he just bought them this last off season, and he has a Twitter account, and he
oh,
he went off on Twitter on the team and basically said professional hitters do not suck this bad. Essentially, I can't remember the exact phrasing, but I'm paraphrasing there. That's essentially the what it said. And obviously, that's visible to the team, that's visible to the GM, that's visible to everyone in the organization. So there was
it's
some,
lose lose.
yeah, there was some pushback from media, obviously saying like you shouldn't call out your team like that. If that's definitely an internal conversation, but personally, I like to see it because we have an owner that doesn't give two shits about our team. All he cares about is that money keeps rolling in. So it's actually refreshing to see an owner that actually cares and not
Oh yeah,
necessarily wants to air it out on a public forum, but
I was gonna say I'm all for the opinion. I mean, I would want someone that's gonna hold people accountable, but maybe maybe only get on Twitter after you've calmed down a little bit.
yeah, I mean, but the end of the day, there's not really a difference between that or if someone puts a mic in his face and says, "How are you feeling about this season?" So I get
That's
it,
true.
and like I said, I wish I wish our owner wasn't invisible and actually showed that he cared about fans or the team or players or anything really. But like I said, he just cares about the money, and that's quite apparent. But speaking of money, um, MLB has apparently, this is all speculative because nothing's confirmed, but their MLB and MLBPA are in the middle of a negotiation for the um, CBA for this upcoming season. So there's been a lot of talk that there may be a shutdown this upcoming season, because they don't think that they're going to reach an agreement before the beginning of the season. So obviously I'm hoping to avoid that, because the last time that happened, the ratings dipped so bad. It was
Yeah.
like no one thought they were going to recover. Obviously we had Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire that helped bring that back, but um, anyway, so the proposal was, apparently MLB was saying that they want to put $100 million salary floor. So that's the minimum you can spend on your roster per season, which I am 100% in agreement with. However,
Yeah.
they're doing that at the expense of dropping the luxury tax escalator down to 180 million from 210. So
If anything, take that the other way.
yeah, as most people know, the luxury tax escalator has basically worked as a de facto salary cap. So baseball, you can spend whatever you want, but once you go over that, you're spending 50 cents for every dollar you spend, and it goes to um, the lower payroll clubs. That's basically split amongst all of them. So in this scenario, the Dodgers would be some, what, 100 million over the luxury tax. So there'd be another 50
Yeah.
million that they'd basically be paying to other clubs to subsidize their rosters. So um, like you said, I think if anything, they should keep the salary cap the same, because they're pocketing, the executives and the owners are pocketing more money than ever,
Yeah.
and they're making these huge TV deals. There's no way it makes sense for them to lower the salary cap, which is the luxury tax. So I'm all in favor of the $100 million salary floor, but dropping the luxury tax escalator doesn't make sense to me.
I agree.
And we talked about NFLPA being awful and not really for the players. This is going to be a real showing of MLBPA's stance, obviously, but also their power. I believe that the Major League Baseball Players Association is probably the most powerful out of the three major sports leagues. I don't know much about hockey, so I usually
I
call it
would I would agree.
the steps kid. It's not
Yeah,
one
it
of the
definitely
three
doesn't get
majors.
the same. It
But
doesn't get the same viewing, I would say.
yeah. So anyway, uh, I'm very interested to see this. And like I said, if they have any shutdown, I think they can just probably shoot each other in the feet, because that's what they're essentially doing. They're not doing a service to the fans of baseball, and they're not helping each other out at all. Because if there's a player strike and games don't happen, even if they put replacement players out on the field, whether those are minor league players or people they grab off the street, no one's going to watch that,
Yeah, it's
and
not the same.
it's only going to do damage to the sport as a whole. So we need to see some movement. Obviously, the commissioner is Rob Manfred. He's kind of a moron. No one likes him. So I don't know. I think he's smart enough to realize they got to get something done. But I've thought he's smart before, and he's proved me wrong. So,
Yeah.
but I think that's all I had to talk about. Is there anything else you needed to add before we call it?
No, all I would say is I completely agree. I think dropping that down is a mistake, but oh well.
All right. So for the next episode, we should have John on with us. We'll do it over the weekend. And we have one nice question that'll probably take up a good portion of the time. So um, obviously, we still want your input. We want to hear any comments. We want to get any questions in. Even if we don't feature it in the next episode, we'll always consider it for upcoming content. And if you guys have anything to add or whatever, just let us know. Uh, like, comment, share, whatever you guys can do to help spread the word. We appreciate your support, and as always, thank you for tuning in.
Absolutely. Thank you all.